Cool. So I see we've got a few folks who are joined up right now. So I'll first introduce myself. Thanks first to the folks who have joined up this afternoon officially by 1 minute. Taking a little bit of time out of your day, your busy days, as I'm sure they are right now, from wherever you are, from wherever you're working or find yourself, to take a little bit of time in the middle of the week at the lunch hour to sort of stay connected as a Chelsea community. One of the things that I've shared with folks in the last couple of weeks leading up to giving this a shot is that I've lived in Chelsea for almost a year now. And what's become quickly apparent is that one of this community's strengths is its connectedness, the way in which the community shares sort of this tight bond within itself and amongst its organizations, and the way and the extent to which I think the residents and the members of this community care for each other, the way that people here care for their neighbors. And so we don't know how this is going to go. It's going to be every Wednesday at noon, and it might go until 12:15. It might go until 12:30. It might, who knows? We're going to talk for as long as we need to, but it's in the spirit of that strength of Chelsea, keeping us connected and celebrating our care of neighbor. And so for those who don't know, my name is Eric Strickland, and I serve as the pastor at St. Paul United Church of Christ here in Chelsea. I've been there for 10 months. I was telling Sheri before folks started joining on, it's been 10 months, but time has sort of lost meaning in the last couple of months. So, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm glad that folks are signing on, and we'll welcome people as they click the link and join us. And we are recording, so if you want to share this link from the different places where it'll be posted later in the day so that folks can sort of click and listen in at their leisure, that would be awesome. So I am excited to introduce our first guest for our first ever Chelsea Community Cafe on Zoom. She is Sheri Montoye. And she is, I want to make sure that I get your job description or your job title correct. I've said it a couple of different ways, but are you the executive director at Faith in Action?
Yes, that's correct.
So Sheri is the executive director at Faith in Action, an organization that we consider to be one of our community partners at St. Paul. We've worked with and helped Faith in Action a few different ways. And they're sort of a lifeline for folks in this community. But I will let Sheri do that introduction. So the next part of this is that I let Sheri introduce herself a little bit, give you some of her background with the organization, talk to us a little bit about what Faith in Action is, what you do, and then we'll move into question number 2. So Sheri, take it away.
All right, thank you, Eric. Yep, I'm Sheri Montoye here at Faith in Action, and I have also similarly been here just over a year now. I took over, Nancy Paul was the director for a long time, and I started here just about a year ago, and things were more normal then. So we've had some time to get situated and really learn about the history of Faith in Action and what we do in the community and how we fit. And so hopefully I can share a little bit more about that today. So Faith in Action is an organization that's been around 40 years in the Chelsea community and serving also Dexter. And that was started really by a number of churches in the community and faith organizations who were all tackling similar issues and people coming to them for help. And each organization in each church or each faith community was kind of recreating the wheel and trying to find resources in the community, and then felt, I don't know if, they were feeling themselves tripping over each other a little bit or, having some redundancy. And so worked together to say, let's just put this all into one space and centralize the efforts. And here we are 40 years, this year is 40 years from when that first happened at St. Barnabas, right? And so when this all started changing in mid-March, we sort of had a stop action, and we started talking among the staff and saying, what can we do to address this? We had to change everything. And we looked at each other and we said, no, we just keep doing what we do. Like, this is what we exist for. We're ready. We have a great board. We have a lot of amazing supporters in the community who contribute in donations through financial donations, food donations. Typically, we have our clothing room open. You know, the community, it brings things in all the time. We have a gigantic crew of volunteers. And so this organization was ready. We exist. You know, we are right here in a central location. We have buildings that we use in Chelsea and Dexter. You know, we're here. So it was a really seamless transition to be able to help the community to do what we do. And so our main focus, we're really just trying to provide resources to alleviate the effects of hunger and poverty in the two communities. And so we do that through our food pantry and through our clothing room, all throughout the year. Right now we do have our clothing room on hold because we don't have any volunteers in the building for everybody's safety. And we have our food pantry still running full tilt. Beyond that, we have a lot of other services, financial supports that we provide for people depending on what they need. We meet people where they are, and we're pretty nimble, and we're able to just have a genuine conversation with someone and sort of sort out what they need and jump in and help as best we're able. Was that even, what was that first whole question? There was.
No, you nailed it. It was like your
Okay,
elevator
great.
speech, basically.
Yeah.
But like
I take a lot of long elevator rides.
For a long elevator ride, that's totally
Mhm.
fine. So, or we'll call it your boilerplate speech. That's better. I like that. Like I said, Faith in Action is certainly a lifeline for a lot of folks in the Chelsea and Dexter communities. You've sort of started to get into answers to what my next questions are. Which is one, how has Faith in Action's work continued in our present crisis? But then the follow-up question to that is, in what ways has Faith in Action's efforts and its commitments sort of adapted and changed in the face of the crisis that we're in? So how have things sort of stayed the same? What initiatives have continued, and what's changed? What specific things are you all doing in the face of this pandemic?
Yeah, and like you say, it's hard not to start talking about that because it's where we are. It's what we're right in the middle of. So we are still providing all of our main core services. And what we did have to change, though, is a couple of things to just adjust for safety reasons. We have, you know, roughly 100 volunteers that are in our building each week in helping fill food orders and check people in and out and whatnot. But we had to sort of put a hold on all of that. A large core of our volunteers are actually in a higher risk age group for this particular virus, and so we did not want to have people unnecessarily exposed when we could sort of mitigate that a little bit. So we changed that. And we have a staff of 5, and we tried covering both of our sites for a week, and we realized it was unsustainable. And so we made the tough choice to consolidate all of our efforts into just our Chelsea site temporarily. Dexter is still open. It will always be a space that we work out of in the community we serve, but we just temporarily consolidated to our one location, knowing that that could be hard for people, but also adding in that we could do deliveries in the Dexter community as if, you know, there was a challenge for someone to make the trip to Chelsea to get their food order. So we have worked around that, but we're working out of Chelsea. And we also shifted our hours and days of the week. We're open in Chelsea 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4, and then until 7 on Wednesdays. And in Dexter, we were open noon to 7 on Wednesdays. So we closed Dexter. We switched to a 4-day week, Monday through Thursday now. And this is temporary. We don't have an official end date yet. We're, you know, like everybody, kind of playing it by ear. But we are open Monday and Wednesday, 11 to 7. So we have extended hours on those 2 days. And then Tuesday, Thursday, it's still 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So those are the big changes that we've had, but ultimately our goal is to continue to provide food for families because that's a key critical need. And when you think about it, you think, okay, well, I don't need food, I need money. So what we can do with our food supplies that we have is to take the burden off the finances and if people can get a food order here every 2 weeks, that could release some money in their budget to use for those more critical financial things. So food is a great place for us to start, even though we have other resources also available for helping people. But that's one thing that we want to make sure people understand, that if you can get food from us, that can help release your money for other critical needs.
Sure. Awesome. Appreciate that. So the next two questions are again related to one another. But if somebody needed assistance right now, what does it look like to approach Faith in Action and request assistance? And then the next question after that is, what are some of the ways, and answer them in whatever order you'd like, but what are some of the ways in which members of the community can be supportive of the work that Faith in Action is doing right now?
So to access our services, we have updated our website. Just interestingly, around the first of the year, we did that. And so we had the opportunity to add some, we're keeping the news updated there, our news. And anytime we post something to social media, we use primarily Facebook. It gets cross-posted onto the website. So there's, instantaneous news. Our web person helps keep that information updated as well. And from that, you can get our phone number, you can get emails for staff, against our IT security people's judgment. They think we should sort of clean those emails off of there, but right now they're there. And you can call during our work days, Monday through Thursday when we're here. You can always leave a message. And, sometimes the phone call is hard for people. It seems to be the less used mode of communication these days, and that's fine. We have created a Google form on our website. So if, I always say a lot of parents, 2 a.m. is when you finally have a quiet minute to do something. So you can go online and fill out that form and, try to help alleviate some of your stress. And that sort of puts it in our queue that will have your name and phone number and some basic information about you. It's not a commitment. It just says, hey, can I have a conversation? If you prefer we email, you can tell us that. So just let us know. Like, that's the first step, is just saying something, asking a question. Generally, though, families would qualify if they are within 200% of the federal poverty level. And you can look up those poverty level charts online. Yeah. We keep a list here, but it's boring information to sort of say out loud, and it's a chart depending on how many people are in your family. So it's not like a fixed answer, but you can look that number up and get an idea. And it's I put it on Facebook not too long ago, so you can look there or look on our website that will have that article as well. Just to get an idea. And that, now everything's up in the air, because maybe you were making too much, plenty of money before that disqualified you, but now, so we look at 30 days generally. And so if you call us and say to us, we're struggling, we're having a hard time, we don't know how we're going to get through these next 2 months, that makes you qualified. And for the food access, we have a very, all you have to do is show up by calling or emailing or whatever and say, I need help. That is the base requirement for food assistance, which translates, as I said, to financial assistance. So as far as accessing services, it's very simple. Just let us know. So that part is simple, although we know it's hard for people. So just working with your friends and family to get over that piece of it is, we don't have a lot of resources to help with that besides being here, being friendly, and being open and listening and making it accessible through a lot of avenues.
For sure.
You just have to take that first step.
Awesome.
So that's that piece of the question. And then were there other pieces of that?
So the other piece is just, how can people be supportive of Faith in Action right now? And just before you answer that, if people open the little chat section of Zoom, I've posted both the Faith in Action website that people can link on to.
Awesome.
I don't know if you can actually click the link. You may have to copy and paste. And we've also linked the donate section of the Faith in Action website. So, and when we share the link of this video and other places, we'll share those links as well, so that folks can go on and sort of explore that and contribute as they feel moved to do so. So that's all there.
Perfect.
Check it out.
Yeah, so what the community can do, I mean, I can't answer this without saying the community has stepped up incredibly already.
Yeah.
You know, this over 40 years, certainly. And then just in the last couple of months, we have seen a huge outpouring, you know, and I would say that just people from all walks of life, I think, you know, we look sort of at the donation statistics, and we've had a huge number of brand new donors, and that's incredible and powerful, and it really helps. It really speaks to me to the idea that since we exist and people know who we are, it helps know what to do in this time, because we don't all know, and so it's hard to sort that out. And when people think, if I support Faith in Action, I can get food on people's tables, you know, that message is out there. So thank you to everybody who's contributed. And so right now we're taking food and toiletry kind of donations, like your shampoos, conditioners, body wash, that sort of thing, house cleaning products, anything you would go to the grocery store and buy for yourself. We need all of that same stuff. And we have a weekly, you know, maybe more than weekly update of a list of things that we need. And we try to post that when we get a spare minute. I'll just stick it on Facebook, which then again shows up on the website, but you can always call if you're running to the store and have a little extra space in your cart, or you end up some extra stuff that you don't need. We don't want people to go and shop specifically for us, because it's, you know, it's a riskier activity right now. So we just want people to tack on a little extra if they already are shopping. So those kind of things, financial donations, translate directly into helping people. We are good with our staffing. We were able to, you know, apply for some of the programs that the government had put out. And so as far as that goes, any money that people donate is really going to go right to help people. And it's very powerful, and it's incredibly helpful. And since we don't know what's coming, you know, we just have to continue to mobilize, to be ready to help in these curious times.
Curious is a good way to describe it. I like that. And just FYI for folks, if you happen to be doing your shopping anyways, or are out for an essential purpose on a day when Faith in Action isn't necessarily open collecting donations, outside of our facility at the church on Old US 12, St. Paul United Church of Christ, we've got a big, secure, covered bin that we're leaving out there to collect donations pretty much around the clock, and then I'm getting up there a couple of days a week to drop stuff off. So if you have things that you want to contribute, but you're out on a day when you Faith in Action isn't open to receive those donations, swing by the church and we'll make sure that it gets there. So that's good stuff. So the last question I have for you before we open it up for Q&A is something that I'm going to ask every single guest that I bring on, and it's very, very important. And there are rules to answering this question. So during the pandemic and this phase of social distancing, what is something you have read or are reading, you can still be reading it, you've watched or listened to that has been positive in your life? And the rule is that if it's something that you're watching or have watched, it can't be the news. You can't say, I've been watching the news, and that's been a positive. So what's something that you've been reading or read, something that you're watching or have watched or listened to that you would recommend that's been positive for you, that you've enjoyed?
Man, trick question. I don't generally watch a lot of inputs. So,
yeah.
And I do have 3 teenagers at home right now. One is a senior this year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and, in spite of everything on social media, which is, we've talked a little bit about what snake pit it kind of can be before the call officially started. But the schools are doing a really great job of recognizing the seniors.
Yeah.
And keeping the kids connected through their Zoom. You know, it's not perfect, but there's so much good connection. The kids are like struggling and rolling with it all at the same time. And I would say that that's really positive, because, you know, this is hard for them, and they are finding ways to connect and, you know, laughing throughout the day. And so, you know, I would say, look, you know, the schools are working really hard. Look to their leadership as, and you know, it gives me, I come from a youth development background, and so I always think these kids they're just amazing, and they're doing a lot of positive things, and they're going to be they're taking notes on all of this, and as we respond, and they seem to be, I think they're pretty impressed with how how big of a reaction, a global reaction and response that we have, and that we're all really working together. They do see that, and they still are optimistic about the future in spite of everything. So
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I went for a run through downtown the other day, and I don't know which business it is. It's one of the businesses that has a huge front window, or multiple
oh
windows, and
yeah,
they've got all the senior pictures of all of the seniors
yeah.
posted up in the windows, and it's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of inspiration to be drawn from the students in those school communities, and the faculty and staff, support
Mm-hmm.
staff for sure. So that's a good one. We certainly know that one of the strengths of our area, the educational communities, no doubt about it. So that's good stuff. All right. Well, if there are any folks with us, I'm going to unmute people. And if there are folks, give me just a minute. I'll unmute everybody all at once, and we'll hope that goes okay. It doesn't always. If you don't think you're going to have a question, feel free to mute yourself. But if you do have a question for Sheri, feel free to ask at this time, and she'll do her best to answer. You can ask me a question if you want to as well, but our guest is Sheri, so feel free to fire away.
Hey, Sheri, this is Doug. I was wondering if it would be possible to maybe share any anecdotal stories coming through. We can't betray any confidentiality or anything.
Sure.
If anything, what are stories out there bringing people in?
One story that jumps to mind, and I was thinking about this earlier, is at least two, I want to say three. We've had donations that came in from people who were past clients, and it floored us when it happened. Some of them are people from many years ago, and they said, I just remember when I didn't have anything, or I was really struggling, you guys were there, and I just, I'm so grateful that you're there now. I'm on stable footing now, and I want you to be able to continue to do that for somebody else, because it's really hard, and knowing that you have somebody there to help you get through it. So those were powerful, donations that came from the heart, and that really connect back to people and making a difference in the community. So that's right off the top of my head. There's that. Staffing wise, it's just the five of us staring at each other all day, every day. And but just, what a great team. Our social workers we're kind of like jumping for the phone, see who gets to, it's like a contest to see who can answer the phone fastest. And and there's shifted roles. Normally they're filling the pantry and taking phone calls, and now we're doing all that plus doing grocery orders. We go through a list, and then we fill all the bags with this. And so we're thinking about, we don't know what families want specifically. Sometimes we're like, do you need this or that in the category? But then we make these choices, and we're like, they probably would like these roles, or it's just, so there's just the day-to-day piece of it that's different than it was. And it's neat to see how it all comes together when there's still so many question marks, and we get into this little ecosystem here, and we're just having fun filling people's food orders and sort of blocking out the questions for a couple hours, and just helping and helping and helping. And so.
Awesome. That's good stuff. That's really good. Anybody else with any questions for Sheri? Awesome. Fair enough. Well, folks, those of you who tuned in now, and folks who are going to click the link and access this a little bit later, just want to thank you for stopping by, for investing some of your time and your energy in our community, and taking interest in the work that Faith in Action is doing. Like I've said a couple of times now, Faith in Action is a lifeline to so many people in our community. The work that they do, the work that Sheri leads up, is inspiring to a lot of us. And what I said at the beginning too is that one of Chelsea's greatest strengths is its connectedness, the way that we kind of stay close as a community, and the care that people in this community really have for their neighbors. And so this is offered in that spirit. Our guest next week, I'm pretty excited, is going to be Amy Heidloff, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the Five Healthy Towns organization. And so she's going to talk a little bit about what Five Healthy Towns is still doing to keep folks engaged, to keep people's health, both physical and mental, at the forefront in our community. And so I know Amy is looking forward to joining us, and I'm looking forward to having her. And then in 2 weeks, I don't have a specific name yet, but we're going to have somebody on to talk to us a little bit about stress and mental health in a global pandemic at home, and then lead us through sort of an afternoon guided meditation. So that's in 2 weeks. So Amy Heidloff is next week, and then in 2 weeks we're gonna have a little bit of stress relief guided meditation at noon on a Wednesday. So that'll be a welcome break from the daily grind as well. But I just want to again say thank you to Sheri for joining us. I see that Sheri has in the chat section posted her email address. So if you have any more questions or want to get in touch with her, that information is there. And again, thank you to all of you for taking a little bit of time out of your day, out of your week to join us. It was good to see some faces, to hear some voices. And again, thank you, Sheri.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Eric, for putting this together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody. Have a good week. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.